Get me into.
All right, guys, welcome everybody to our Tuesday training. We're going to get started here in just a moment, so please make sure you have pen and paper to take notes. Also, make sure that you let your coach know that you are on. We're going to get started here in just a moment. And again, welcome everybody to our Tuesday night broadcast. We're going to get started here in just a moment, so please make sure you have pen and paper to take notes. And also make sure that you let your coach know that you are on the broadcast. I have some lovely guests with me tonight, as well as our training topic, which is going to be the post sign-up call to process and getting people to the broadcast and to the trainings. Because, guys, like we went over last night with the prospecting steps, getting people into the business is obviously number one. But then maintaining your team and making sure that your retention stays where it is, it's getting people involved in the day-to-day process as well as the weekly process. The system is completely set up for people here to be super successful as long as you follow the system that's set up. That was one of the number one reasons I got started in this business, is because I wanted a business, but I didn't want to have to figure it out. So I heard that this opportunity was here. I took a hold of it because all I needed to learn was how to drive it, which was awesome. 7 months later, I was out of my job and doing this full time. So I follow the system to a T, making sure that on a daily basis I'm following what I am to do on my to-do list. I have a to-do list every day I go through, and I just follow that step by step, and from there, help you guys learn how to follow it step by step. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure somebody could tell me that they see us. So let me just double check before I continue talking. Okay, perfect. So I have a couple folks with me. I know most of you have seen them before on other trainings. I have Haley on my left and Veer on my right. So Haley is, how long have you been in business now?
8 months.
Okay. And Vera, you've been in business now for a couple months as well, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. So what we're going to go over tonight, guys, is getting people, through training, because, okay, so ladies, this is where I'll ask them questions and you guys can answer them, and we'll have fun from there. Training itself for a new person, how long does the training typically take somebody?
3 to 5 days?
Yes, 3 to 5 days. So the goal is to have people in training, out of training, through their business planning call, and into action within no later than 5 days. So what that means is making sure that your folks get to the checkpoint call. Now, the checkpoint call does a couple of things. Haley, tell me what the checkpoint call does.
Checkpoint call is to answer any questions that they have and to make sure that they have the correct information to move on to the next step.
Perfect. And folks, I mean, I know I was in this, when I first started, I felt like I needed to answer all my team members' questions, even though I was pretty much new as well. The point of the trainer is we as trainers, I'm a trainer, and we as trainers are taught by Heidi how to answer your folks' questions, how to help them understand certain parts in the training, and help them move on then as to what they need to do. Obviously, if it's a simple question, you know, by all means answer it. However, if it's something that's difficult, you want to make sure you're directing them to the trainer, because the other thing is too, remember, they're not the only ones on training. So there are plenty of people that are going to have the same exact question. It's just if they're going to be the ones to ask it or not. I know when I was in training, I was always afraid to be like the one that was like, ooh, I have a question, I don't understand this. But when somebody else asked it, I was like, awesome, sweet, he answered my question for me. So making sure your folks get to training every single day. Now, how do you know if your people are getting to checkpoint on a daily basis?
You can check the roster, can't you?
Yes,
Well,
ma'am, you
your
can.
GP tracker.
Exactly. So you guys want to write this down. When you go to your GPS pack tracker, you're going to go to, it's the trainings category, or I'm sorry, rosters, and then checkpoint roster. Now what that'll do is that'll list out the people in your personal team that are in training right now. Now there's 3 different color circles you want to look for. The first one is a blank circle, so it just looks like gray. That means that they've never, ever been to a checkpoint call. Now, obviously, if they just got started, prior to their first checkpoint call is going to be that circle. But that day that they're supposed to show up, if you look and their circle isn't checked off, you automatically want to be on the phone with them saying, hey, John, I was just checking my roster to see, who hopped on checkpoint today, and I saw you didn't get on. Let's just make sure we have the right number, blah, 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 right time, or what happened. Sometimes people say that all they did was hear music, which is no problem. Now, if it's a green button, that means that they're on for that day, or they're on, like if you're looking right when checkpoint starts, it'll be a green button. And if it's a black button, that means that they were on for that day, they went through the training, and they got checked off. Now, how often should you be looking at the checkpoint roster?
Every day.
Yup. So, like we went over yesterday with your daily method of operation when you open your business, that's one of the things you want to make sure you're looking at on every single morning is who is in checkpoint, who didn't show up, who missed, who you need to get a hold of, who's on track to make sure that they're on track for the business planning call, all of the above. So you want to make sure you're taking a look at that every single morning and making sure that those that need that little extra push, you're giving it to them. Now, say you're going through your roster and you're dialing through your checkpoint roster. What are some of the objections that you might get in regards to people not getting to their checkpoint call or people being slow? Well, let's start with people getting to their checkpoint call first.
Most of them will say that they're at work.
That's what I was going
Yeah. So
just getting off of work.
Yeah, but there's 2 times per day, so...
very rarely, yes, I agree. And there are 2 times a day, and they're scheduled in a manner where there should be one that they can get to. Unless they work some really crazy hours, which we can obviously help those folks with crazy hours. I've had plenty of them. But 99% of the time, they can hit one of the checkpoint calls. Now, if they just forgot or whatever the case is, when you're calling them, you don't want to make them feel like they did something wrong, though. Like, John, I noticed that you weren't at checkpoint today. What's your deal? You want to make it sound more, not that like you're excited that they missed it, but, hey, John, I was just looking at my checkpoint roster today because I want to make sure that we help you get through training because you came here to make money, right? And then, of course, John's going to say yes. Okay, great. Well, I saw that you weren't on today. What happened? Did you miss the call? Let's make sure you have the right phone number. Let's make sure you have the right time. And let's make sure that the trainer actually checked you off the roster because sometimes, maybe that didn't happen. I don't know. So you always want to make sure you're checking in with your folks and not making them feel like they did something wrong, not making them feel like they're in trouble because, when you start making people feel that way, then that's when the guard will go up and getting them then through training will be even more difficult. Okay, so then the next step is making sure that they are getting to their business planning call in a timely fashion. So we've been doing the check-in calls, which have been really awesome because making sure people are on track in their training and then also making sure that they're getting their products in the mail and getting started on their products is huge. And then at that point, you're to book the business planning call based on where they are in training. Now, once they get to advanced training, how long does advanced training typically take?
Isn't it like 4 hours total?
Close. Talking to somebody about booking their business planning call, you'll let them know that advanced training takes about 3 hours to complete. You'll know your person, so you'll know like if they have work or whatever the case is. But then you want to book it for typically no longer than 48 hours out, because they should be able to get through 3 hours of training within 2 days. And then working TP prospects, once they have their business planning call and they have to finish up the last leg of training, that'll only take about, should only take about 24 to 48 hours as well. It's pretty short, sweet, and to the point. And then the next step is making sure that they're on the conference calls. Now, I know Heidi has gone through the conference call structure, which we're all pretty clear on when folks are to be on what conference call, unless either one of you girls has a question about who goes on what conference call, or are we pretty clear from RAC where everybody is to go?
I think we're okay.
Okay. So I'll list it out for the new folks. The very first conference call that everybody's supposed to be on is?
Deadline.
Thursday.
Good. All right, so everybody, the very first broadcast, now this week was a little different because of the special announcements that we've been having, but typically everybody's first conference call, I say conference call, it's a broadcast, I'm sorry, is the deadline broadcast on Thursday. Then after that, they go to?
Pre-focus on Monday or Wednesday.
Okay. And then after that?
Saturday.
Yep. And then last but not least?
Tuesday.
Good. And now, Vera, for folks that get paid advertising in our business, what is the other extra training that we have besides the one that we're on right now? But what's the extra training that we have every week as well that everybody should be on when they have paid advertising?
When they have paid advertising.
You're on it.
We have the RAC call.
There you go.
On
there you go.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah. So once the people, and this is the other point of the checkpoint call too, guys, because as a trainer, our job is to make sure that they're clear once they get done with working TP prospects that they're up on to the RAC. Now, our job is to relay that message to them. Your job is to make sure that your folks are checking in with you that they're on.
Right.
So one of the biggest things, too, and we'll get into this with the conference calls. Hello. With the conference call structure is making sure that your team is on. So typically, we want to make sure we have at least 75% of our entire team and organization on. Now, in order to make sure that that happens, what's the number one thing that you want to be doing on a consistent basis, daily basis, to ensure that your team is getting to those proper broadcasts?
I make sure that I talk to every member of my team at least once a day.
Good. So live voice confirmation is key. Now, and Heidi will tell you this, it's not like calling to remind them that the broadcast is happening, because to be quite honest, they should have this reoccurring in their calendar. If you looked at my calendar right now, you would see every broadcast that we have is reoccurring in my calendar, mainly so I don't forget all of them when I need to give somebody a time and a website. However, I know which ones I need to be on. So when you're calling your team to make sure that they're on the broadcast, it's not like, hey, Susie, just wanted to remind you. It's more or less like, hey, Susie, just was calling to check in, see how business is coming along, and then also I want to confirm you for tonight's countdown call. And Susie says, oh, yeah, it's in my calendar already. Great. So just make sure you check in with me as you're hopping on the broadcast. Which will you be using? Text message or Skype message? And as trainers, we also ask that question too, just so you guys all know. We ask that question, how are you checking in with your mentor? If you just tell them, okay, well, make sure you check in with me, they can say, okay, sure, fine. However, when you ask them a more specific question as to what method are you going to use to check in with me, then that registers in there, I know I need this too, is to say, oh, okay, that's right. I need to send Haley instant message tonight when I log on because that's what I told her I was going to do. And then I know you guys do a great job of checking in. I never have to worry about you ladies. And with your teams and everything too, you guys do an awesome job with putting your numbers in the windows. I send my numbers to Heidi for every single broadcast, so she knows how many I have possible, how many are confirmed, how many are maybe not ready for that broadcast. Maybe they don't qualify for it.
Okay.
Numbers is to not only hold you accountable, but then I know for me when I look at those numbers, I know exactly what I need to do. So every morning when I have, X amount possible and X amount confirmed, and I still have a whole ton of people left to confirm, I know that day at the top of the hour, if I don't have another appointment, I'm dialing. Now, here's a question. What happens if, say you have somebody who doesn't regularly check in or is kind of like on and off, and you couldn't find them this week, so you're trying to find them for next week. What do you typically do in order to get those folks to the broadcast?
I put them on my dials.
Perfect. And Vera, is there anything else different that you would do?
I would send them instant messages or text messages as well as follow up with emails if I don't get responses from them from those either.
Perfect. Yeah. So you want to do like a number of things, and sending emails and text messages and instant messages definitely work. And then if those don't work, exactly what Haley said, you put those those folks on the tail end of your dial sessions. And I think it was last night on RAC where Heidi said that she even would leave a message like, hey, Sue, I'm going to dial you 15 times until you answer your phone. So FYI, it'll dial 15 times. Please answer your phone. So those are things that you guys want to make sure, you're doing if you do lose a team member or they go missing or whatever the case may be. Now, the difference between Checkpoint and the other broadcasts, what are some, say, objections or issues that you have or, think that you would possibly have with getting folks to the broadcast?
Oh, I hear the same thing every week. They don't see the relevance of going every single week.
Okay, that's a good one. And I have come across that same one too. Now, Haley, what would you typically tell somebody if they told you that?
Every week is a refresher, but it is not the same broadcast. You can always learn something different from every broadcast you see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know I get something different every broadcast I'm at, and I've been on them for over 2 years now. The other thing, too, that you want to promote is the stories. The stories are never, ever, ever the same week to week. I'm on the setup call every Monday. We pick the stories every single Monday for Tuesday's broadcast, so they're never, ever the same. And you might hear a story that, like, for instance, Cindy, who was on the broadcast today, she's actually on our team. And I heard her story the other day when we did our business planning call, and I was like super excited because on Facebook the day before, I heard somebody that was somebody was posting on Facebook how they weren't feeling well and they had been not feeling well for a while. So I private messaged them saying, hey, I saw you weren't feeling good. Sorry to hear that. what's going on. And they happened to say that they were having stomach problems and other things like that. So I pretty much told Cindy's story. And based on that, they were going to look at the products, and then we have a follow-up call to get them on the Vima products. And now I can even validate it more with the fact that we just heard from her today, and she still hasn't had any acid issues. So the stories themselves, too, are absolutely powerful. Does that help you, Vera?
Oh, yes, it does.
Awesome. All right. Any other, things that people would say to you that you wouldn't necessarily know how to handle, any type of objections or anything like that? Haley, you got any?
I haven't really had a lot of issues getting people on the broadcast. It's other than a lot of them have kids and assume that the kids are a problem when it comes to broadcasts, and I have a child and it's not a problem. So
Well, I have one. Well, I'm just getting off of work, and those are supposed to be my dial sessions, and then I can't make my calls because I'm on the West Coast, and all of my prospects are on the East Coast, so by the time I get done, it's too late to call them.
Good one. So that is a whole conversation in itself.
I thought you might like that one.
well, it's really, after you get through the training, it's Tuesdays is during the week, and then on Saturday it's Saturday, so it's one even. It's a half an hour broadcast, and it's from the top of the hour to the bottom of the hour, so it shouldn't interrupt any dial session.
Okay, Haley, we were looking for excuses.
That was the answer, though.
There you go. That's Haley laying the smackdown.
There you go.
And a lot of the times, too, Vera, when somebody has, and I know I had a really bad schedule when I first started. So now that the broadcasts are sticking to 30 minutes, it does help, so you can still squeeze a dial session in. However, I definitely agree with you that is some people's objection is, well, I could use that 30 minutes to dial because I'm only able to get one in during the day as it is. Which, those are conversations that, like, you would want to book an appointment with your coach maybe to go over more like time management stuff. I mean, I would literally print out my schedule, my prospects in the morning. I do a dial session before I'd go into the building. I do a dial session at lunch real quick as I was shoving my sandwich in my face or my shake or whatever. And then sometimes, depending on what time I got out of work, I would do a dial session in the parking lot before I even drove off because I had an hour commute. So the thing you want to always stress, though, is that there is information on a consistent basis with our broadcast that, like, for instance, tonight, Anthony going through and Gary going through what the pack promotion can do and how it can impact your business by getting and stretching to get that promotion that Anthony doesn't always put on the table. And he hasn't in a really long time, and who knows the next time he will. That's information that's invaluable that they'll never see again on a broadcast. So those are definitely, and Haley has it straight on too. Once you're done with training and you've hit all the broadcasts that you are to be on, you really only have 2 a week anyway. And what's beautiful is if you have one of these puppies, you can literally watch the broadcast anywhere. There were plenty of times that on my drive home from work, which I know you're supposed to be able to take notes, but sometimes I got out of work really, really late, that, my husband would be home watching it and taking the notes for us, but I would pop on it so I could listen to it on my drive home. I've had plenty of people that, if they have a kids' soccer game or...
Yeah. That's how I do the RAC calls. I'm commuting from home during that time.
Earbuds in. Every phone comes with them. And log on to the broadcast, grab a pen and paper. You can still hoot and holler while your kid's doing whatever in the background. But this is invaluable. This is what's going to get you out of your job and at your kids' games all the time for the rest of their lives. So, but very good, Vera. Very good objection. I like that one. Well, I like that you brought it up.
I don't use it. I just thought about it.
No, that's a good one. That's a total good one. Any other ones that either of you guys can think of? A lot of times it's going to be time or prior engagement. Now, some prior engagements you can't get out of, like I had a on the broadcast because his daughter would, not be too thrilled walking herself down the aisle. Okay, those are instances where you can just say, okay, fine, no problem, I totally understand. But a lot of the times it is going to be time management and really just promoting. You always want to promote what's going on in the business and promote what that broadcast can do and what it's even done for you. Because I'm sure there are plenty of broadcasts that both you ladies have gotten off of. You had your aha moment of something that you haven't heard or forgot or whatever the case was. Use those stories. Because that's what's going to help people understand the importance of getting to the broadcast and getting to the training. That's where they're going to get their bread and butter when they need to get it, because that's the only time. After you're done with Checkpoint, you're done with your online training, that's your training. If you go to school, you don't just go to school and not go to class because you don't feel like it. You go to every single class because if you don't pass, you don't graduate.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, same thing here. You don't go to class, then you don't learn the things you need to learn in order to take your business to the next level and continue to grow your business and get whatever goals and dreams you came here for. Make sense?
Yes, exactly.
Sweet. There's the one place I look mainly, and that's under Pack Tracker. So if you go to gpspacktracker.com, under rosters, it'll have conference call roster, and it has all of the broadcasts listed out. When you click roster on the right-hand side, it'll pop up your entire team. That's where you can check if they're on or not. I don't know. That's the main one I use. I don't know if you ladies use it. I know in GPS there's also a place you can go to, but I mainly use Pack Tracker because that one seems the easiest for me because you can also click down and use your Skype to dial.
Yeah.
That's what you guys use too, mainly?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, well, with that being said, I'm 5 minutes over my 30-minute time slot. So I hope this was helpful for everybody in knowing exactly how to get their people to the right trainings, to the broadcasts, overcome any objections that your team has, guys. Make sure that you're getting your team to report to you when they're checking in, and then make sure you're reporting your numbers up to your coach. We all roll them right up to AP. So if you need any help or any extra training or any help at all, just get with your coach because we can always book a 30-minute time slot to go through stuff with you guys and to help you understand the importance and get you helping your team, especially if you're newer. But if not, then you can always go back to this training, take a look at it. And tomorrow night, same time, same place, we're going to go through the emailer. So make sure you guys are there, and have a good night.
Good night.